Day in the life of a designer. What we're going to talk about today is philosophy before the product. Now, primarily on the live stream, what we've been talking about is, designer's mindset, you know what I'm saying? The mindset of a founder, building, a brand with meaning, the art of storytelling, and pretty much just giving you the behind the scenes mindset, philosophies, and just overall what it takes in order to be a true fashion designer and even just designer period, because all aspects of what we're talking about applies. We're pretty much talking about applying, artistic creativity to products. So overall, you have to have a philosophy, mission, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much a story, authentic story, whether it's yours or, why the product was created as a whole, you know, that's where you start. Now, typically, great fashion brands don't just, begin with a product. They begin with, a philosophy for the brand. Products change over time, but a philosophy gives every collection direction and purpose. So we also been talking about vision as well too. When you have a philosophy that aligns with your vision, it creates purpose, intent behind the pieces that you put together. Because you got to think of it this way. Each collection is going to have different goals. Some the same, but mostly some different because of the topic, the story line behind it, and how it relates to the customer. Start with the why. You know what I'm saying? Like what we always do here on, the stream is start off with a question. And the question I have for you with this subject is, if somebody asks why your brand exists, could you answer in one sentence? And for example, like my brand, right? Dreams of Rulers was created so that way I can help people artistically find their purpose and start moving with intent. So if you can't literally describe your brand like that, then you don't have one yet. And that's just the honest truth. Like, if you can't explain your brand with less than 2 sentences, then the message and philosophies are not clear. You're not clear on what you're actually getting ready to put out or been putting out. And it's time for you to go back to the drawing board, because when, you start asking, why should this exist instead of what should I make? You know what I'm saying? The philosophy will guide your, tradition and your direction, your traditional habits. And of course, a product is the result of those decisions. So if you align everything to where it's cohesive with the philosophy, then it's just going to show the results of those decisions. You feel me? What is a brand philosophy? A philosophy is the set of beliefs that shapes every creative decision. That starts with, like I said, your brand mission, your values and principles as a human being, your point of view of life. You know what I'm saying? The change you want to create within the world, whether it's just a spark or a full-on change. You feel me? The emotions, you know what I'm saying, you help people feel. These are, the pillars to the philosophies you need to create. The questions, that help you build those philosophies start off like, What do I stand for? Or what does my brand stand for? What will I never compromise on? What have I never compromised on as a person? Why would somebody believe in this brand? You just got to think like products can be copied, but a philosophy is much harder to replicate because number one, it's something rare because it's your own truth of how you view the world based off of, rules, principles, morals that you live by. And if you know these morals align with others, I'm not saying that, you're going to blow up in a day, but, you have something of substance. You have something that can grow. You have something that people will love to see once they get the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So mainly the philosophy shapes every decision. When it comes to, design, when it comes to the aspects of, placing imagery, different seams, hems, things of that sort, you know what I'm saying? The sizing of different materials on apparel, the fabric choices, you know what I'm saying? Whether you want to go with silk or cotton or, you know what I'm saying? Just a matter of understanding what the piece is for and understanding how the person is going to use it. Silhouettes, you know what I'm saying? The aesthetic of a piece, the pricing, because the pricing helps the customer understand what market you're in, the quality of the clothes, and, you know what I'm saying, who it's actually for. Photography, you know what I'm saying, that shapes and molds how you post content for each and every collection. Say, for example, Dreams and Rulers. What we like to do is we like to create from a raw, uncut scent of, posting content. So you'll see, distorted pictures. You'll see, you know what I'm saying, glitches. You'll see different frames of artwork like that to show somewhat of some real abstract, meaning. You feel me? Packaging. Most of our packaging's got our logo on that joint. Let you know what year we started, you know what I'm saying? The logo and our brand colors. Before, you make a decision, you ultimately want to ask yourself, does this reflect our values? Does this strengthen the brand? And does this fit the story we're trying to tell? Thing is that why great brands feel consistent. It comes from shared principles, not the repeating of ideas. When a philosophy is clear, collections evolve naturally. You ain't gotta force that shit. Marketing has a clear voice. You ain't gotta really force marketing either, except being consistent in your approach. Like, the ideas are gonna flow naturally if it's actually a good idea. If it's something where, you're struggling with, either it's not a good idea and you probably just need to put it on the shelf for right now because it's not going to work for what you're doing right now, or it's just, it's just wrong for the set of time. You just need to save it for later. A philosophy, marketing has a clear voice. Customers know what to expect when a philosophy is clear, and teams make decisions with confidence. A philosophy acts as a filter for every opportunity. So products come and go, purpose endures. You feel me? That's why the brands you see that have been around for a long time, because of the simple fact that purpose endures. Trends fade. You know what I'm saying? We talked about trends over branding over trends last night. Collections end. Some brands, they only you know what I'm saying, put out a collection for a certain amount of time, you feel me? That's why, some brands just do limited drops. They don't restock their store, and then, they go to the next collection. Similar to ours. We do buy what's that joint? Biannually. Pretty much, 2 times a year we'll drop a collection, maybe 3 times, depending on, how things are going. Styles overall evolve as well too. But if your philosophy remains clear, your brand can continue to grow without losing its identity. If your best-selling product, disappeared tomorrow, what will your brand still have a reason to exist? And that's why I love what I'm doing with my brand, because ultimately what we're trying to do here at Dreams of Rulers is create an atmosphere where you're constantly learning on how to improve yourself and be your best version of yourself. And that's why we make content a certain way. That's why we, put out the poetry books to relate to, the younger generation's time, along with, what's going on right now. And then on top of that, just overall, so that way it's not about just a product. It's about, overall change and creating change within our community. So, like I normally say, you want to design with the mindset of, making an impact instead of just selling products. What would you believe every great brand stands for besides making money? And honestly, it's got to start with, moral qualities. You feel me? Things that, hit you on a spiritual level. Like treating people the way you want to be treated. Inspiring you to, be great at, what you love and what you're, good at. Moving with intent, things of that sort, moving with purpose. Those are, just some of the things that great brands stand by instead of just wanting to make money. Also building a legacy mainly. I mean, for me as well too, like that's what we're here to do, is build a legacy, something that lasts longer than what we're capable of. Both values should never change, and even as a business grows. And I just feel like all your, values, morals, principles should be the same. Principles can kind of change a little bit, and that's if, you're just improving them. But overall, everything should, you should stand on those 10 toes down, you feel me? Are you building products, or are you building a philosophy people can believe in? Here at Dreams of Rulers, we're building a philosophy that people can believe in, philosophies that people can believe in. Live like royalty and visualize your purpose. So, a product introduces, people to the brand, but a philosophy gives them a reason to stay. And that's branding. Before you ask what you're going to create, ask what you believe in, because that's going to shape and mold the artistic fire that's within you. That's what it does for me. That's why, when I drop collections at this point, everybody may not understand or be receptive to it at first, or even, in general. But at the same time, when they come back, look at the things that we've been doing with the brand, they'll start to understand for future collections that come. You know what I'm saying? It will create that, that knowledge and wisdom that everybody starts to gain, instead of the confusion that they, might receive right now. So, when your philosophy is clear, every product becomes another chapter in that same story. And that's why and how brands become timeless. So, like I always say, when you put a solid plan together, you do the solid research, you execute that motherfucker on a consistent basis, with the mindset of not taking too many days off, if any days off, if possible, then your dreams and goals are going to come to fruition because you're putting the time in, you're creating solid habits and systems, and you're helping people to see what, the brand is actually trying to put out there, not just for yourself, but for people overall. And that's what we here to help you do. Ultimately, is help you, find your right audience, your right community, and, ultimately help them. You feel me? So, like I always let y'all know on these live streams now, we do got the From the Mud collection available in our shop right now. Website's www.dreamsofrulerstreet.com. You can check it out right now. Website's up. We also got, the poetry on all streaming platforms, spoken word for the book. And we also got the book From the Mud on all ebook and, print platforms as well, too. So definitely tap in, catch a vibe, and, start visualizing your purpose as well, too. It's time to start living like royalty. We appreciate all the day ones that have constantly been showing love, the ones that have been subscribing to the channels and, been on point with us, with, us dropping new content and also, our products as well, too. We appreciate you. Just keep doing what you're doing so that way we can continue to grow. We can reach, more and more people each and every day. And we can all eventually, come together and vibe, So keep visualizing. I am out.